Hello everyone and welcome to my October book haul. I have 11 books to show you today, which I feel like is probably an average size book haul for me. It's certainly a lot bigger than last month's one, but it's certainly not the biggest one I've ever done. So I'm going to get right on into it. The first book you will have already seen if you saw the video that I posted yesterday, because I got it in my nerdy bookworm box, and that is Replica by Lauren Oliver. I know I talked about it a lot in my last video. I did read the full blurb of it, so if you are more interested in what this book is about, then please watch yesterday's video. But I am just going to gush about the cover again because it is absolutely gorgeous. That spine is to die for. I love that whole sunset feel to it, and I love this whole dual idea of two different stories in one book. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to get to this book, maybe before the end of the year, but if not, definitely the beginning of next year. I haven't really figured out my end of year TBR yet, but I will try to squeeze it in. It is quite a big book, so it might take a little bit of commitment, but I do really want to read it, so stay tuned. The next book you will have also seen if you have been watching me recently, because I read it recently and loved it, and that is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. I read her first YA book, All the Bright Places, earlier on this year and really enjoyed that one as well, but I think I liked this one just a little bit more. It's about two teenagers called Libby and Jack. Libby used to be America's fattest teenager, and Jack has a condition called prosopagnosia, which makes it very difficult for him to identify faces, even of his friends and family and people that he sees all the time. So basically Libby was so fat that she was housebound and she had to be cut out of her house. She led a very lonely, isolated life, and she has now lost a lot of weight and she is reinstating herself back into high school society. And Jack is keeping his prosopagnosia secret from all of his friends and family because he is this cool, popular guy, and he doesn't want the whole stigma of having a condition like that put on him because he thinks that he's going to be made fun of, and basically his whole high school life will collapse. So obviously when Libby returns to high school, she meets Jack and a lovely friendship blossoms. There were a lot of supernatural references in this, which I absolutely loved. Libby is a huge supernatural fan, as I know Jennifer Niven is, so I do feel like she put that in just for supernatural fans, and I picked up all the references and I loved it. It did surprise me, first of all, when the first reference was dropped. I was like, oh my god, Dean, Sam and Cass are in this book. It was absolutely incredible, so beautiful, really took me on a ride. I did write a full review of this book. I will leave a link to that review on my blog in the description down below, so you can see all my favourite quotes and my favourite parts and things like that. So if you are interested, if it sounds like your sort of thing, please pick it up because it was absolutely gorgeous. The next book you will have also seen on my channel, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Six of Crows. This is the completed duology now. It is only a duology. This is a YA fantasy heist duology. I did write a full review of this as well, so I will leave a link to that review as well in the description down below. I cried like a baby at the end of this. It was so sad, but if you loved Six of Crows, I really urge you to pick this up because it is a beautiful, explosive, heartbreaking ending. So yeah. The next few books I recently bought on Amazon. They had price drops, and basically that's just what I do. I go through my wish list on Amazon every now and then, and I just pick some books that have recently had price drops if they are low enough and I kind of feel like I might want them, so I will just get them then. So the first book that I got was Landry Park by Bethany Hagen. This has been on my wish list for quite a long time. It came out quite a few years ago now, and I put it on my wish list as soon as I heard about it. I think it was first described to me as a futuristic Pride and Prejudice or Downton Abbey, and I love that sort of thing. I love obviously classic things like Downton Abbey and Jane Austen and everything like that, but I love that kind of thing with a little bit of a twist on them. And apparently this is set in the future, and this is about a girl who is she is the heir to an estate like Elizabeth Bennet is and like Mary is in Downton, but she is the one that has to choose her husband. So it's a little bit like a kind of feminist take on that kind of period. But yeah, I'm really excited to get to it because it's been on my wish list for ever and ever. So when I get to it, I will obviously talk about it with you guys. So yeah. The next one I got was a pretty recent addition to my wish list, and that is Nothing Tastes as Good by Claire Hennessy. This is a little bit of a different take on an anorexia story. I think this is about a girl who dies, and she is before she goes to heaven, she is kind of assigned as the guardian angel of an overweight girl, and she has to basically help her. I think that's what it is. Yes, it is. I will read you the blurb because I'm a little bit unsure. Don't call her a guardian angel. Annabelle is dead, but she hasn't completely gone away. Annabelle immediately understands why her first assignment as a ghostly helper is to her old classmate. Julia is fat, and being fat makes you unhappy. Simple, right? As Annabelle shadows Julia's life in the pressured final year of school, Julia gradually lets Annabelle's voice in, guiding her thoughts towards her body, food, and control. But nothing's as simple as it first seems. Spending the time in Julia's head seems to be having its own effect on Annabelle, and she knows that once the voices take hold, it's hard to ignore them. So, yeah, it's obviously a very heavy YA book, but it talks about a heavy subject in a way that I've not really seen a book do before. So I'm pretty excited to get into that and see what it's all about. The next one is another actually pretty heavy YA contemporary book, and that is Falling Into Place by Amy Zhang. And I think this is about suicide and suicidal thoughts and depression and things like that. It's been on my wishlist for quite a long time. It's a lovely US floppy paperback, and I absolutely adore that cover. I will read you the back again. Inertia, force, mass, gravity, velocity, acceleration, cause and effect. Liz Emerson doesn't understand any of it, but I do. I understand how we fall, where we fall, why we fall. I understand her sadness and loneliness and silence, her shattered heart. It doesn't have to be this way, does it? It wasn't always this way, was it? Stay alive, Liz Emerson, stay alive. So, I mean, that sounds pretty compelling. That's the sort of thing that I like picking up, and maybe it's the sort of thing that I kind of am a little bit drawn to in the colder months. I like dealing with some dark topics and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The next one is a adult book, and it is an adult thriller, which I do read from time to time. There are quite a few well-known adult thrillers that I have really enjoyed, and this is All the Little Pieces by Gillian Hoffman. I think this is about a string of murders of young girls, and they all seem to be young girls that don't really have a lot of ties, so they're sort of the sort of girls that no one would really miss, and they are all being found dead in this one town, and the detective doesn't really have any evidence to pin on anybody, but he does have his own kind of gut feelings. And then there is also a woman living in the town who has a secret, and she's trying to forget this one particular night, but then her 4-year-old daughter identifies one of the girls, and therefore she and her family are thrown into the investigation. It sounds amazing. It sounds like the sort of thing that you just want to cozy up with on a winter's night, so I'm hoping that it will be the kind of mystery that I really love, and I'm hoping to be able to say good things about it. The next book I got is just a little bit of fun. I think it's a YA, but it may even be a middle grade, and that is The Incredible Adventures of Cinnamon Girl by Melissa Kyle. I'm going to say Melissa Keel. This is about a girl whose her hometown is supposedly the only safe place for the end of the world, which is apparently approaching. So all of these people are flocking to her town, and basically to escape this reality, she has this little alter ego that she has created called Cinnamon Girl, and that's pretty much all I know. That's all I want to know. I want to go into this. I'm hoping it might be a little bit funny. I'm hoping it might be a little bit of light relief. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. The next one is a sequel to a book that I've owned for a long time and haven't read, story of my life, and that is Sanctum by Madeleine Roux. This is the sequel to Asylum, which is a YA horror book, obviously set in a asylum with supernatural and paranormal elements to it. So because this is a sequel, I'm not going to read the back and I'm not going to talk about it, but I think Asylum is about a situation where a group of students find themselves in an asylum for a school assignment or something like that. I think that's pretty much all I know. There are more books in this series as well, but I do only have the first two. The next one is the second to last one in this book haul, so we're on the home stretch now, and that is The Kingdom of Little Wounds by Suzanne Kokal. This has been on my wish list for the longest time. It's this gorgeous, gorgeous hardback with this kind of burgundy maroon spray painted edges, and this is a historical court fantasy. I've heard that there is a lot of quite dark adult content in it. I think there's rape in it, I think there's self-harm, I think there's a lot of dark, serious stuff like that, so maybe there is a trigger warning for all of those things. I'm going to read you the blurb for it because it's a court fantasy and these things are, you know, best described by blurbs, I think. On the eve of Princess Sophia's wedding, the Scandinavian city of Skyggehaven prepares to fete the occasion with a sumptuous display of riches, yet beneath the veneer of celebration a shiver of darkness creeps through the palace halls. A mysterious illness plagues the royal family, threatening the lives of the throne's heirs, and a courtier's wolfish hunger for the king's favours sets a devious plot in motion. Here in the palace at Skyggehaven, things are seldom as they seem, and when a single errant prick of a needle sets off a series of events that will alter the course of history, the fates of seamstress Ava Bingen and mute nursemaid Middy Sorte become irrevocably intertwined. As they navigate a tangled web of palace intrigue, power lust and deception, Ava and Middy must carve out their own survival any way they can. So it sounds like a story of political and royal intrigue, maybe a little bit Game of Thrones, that kind of thing, which I am craving some more of. So I'm hoping that this might fill that little gap. So yeah. And the last one I want to talk about is a book that I actually should have already read and reviewed, but it didn't arrive on time because I don't know, but it was very, very annoying. So I need to get this read and reviewed as soon as possible, and that is The Last of the Fire Drakes by Farah Umaboy. I was supposed to be on the booktube tour for this, but obviously the book didn't arrive in time for me to read it and get a review up. So I will be reading this very, very early in November, and I will get a video book chat up as well as a written review of this on my blog. This is the first book in a new YA fantasy series about a girl who is an orphan, and she has been living a lonely life up until she's 16, and then she gets transported into a fairy world which also has problems of its own, but she is now the heroine and she has to save the people of this fairyland from the evil queen that is trying to rule it. So it sounds really good, it sounds right up my street. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover yet again, but it's quite a big book, so I will be getting to this as soon as possible. This may actually be the next book that I read, so I will be talking about this a lot in early November. And that is it for my October book haul. What books did you pick up this month? I would love to know, so please let me know in the comments down below. I will leave all my social media in the description as well. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye.